That's cool. The tremolo's cool, though.
Wow. Let's bring the flutes in. Oh, you need to get Wakeman over here. He'd love that.
Yeah.
Hello Record Production Land, it's been a while since I've done one of these, so today we're in beautiful Buckinghamshire taking a look at Echo Studios, which is a lovely place, been around 15 years, and the owner's name's Jamie, so we're going to go inside and say hello and have a chat. Aha! This is obviously rigged. Anyway, so here we are, inside Echo Studios, and this is Jamie. Hello Jamie.
Hello.
Like we've never met before, you see.
No, we just haven't had an hour's conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's just screwed up his timeline.
When we first started building it, when I started seeing the shape of the rooms, I was slightly worried that I made the control room too big.
Oh, I think it's really nice.
In retrospect, I realised that actually it's a great size, because what I end up doing in here is a lot of the time I end up recording bits and bobs in here, you know, a lot, whether it's just guide parts or whether you do a lot of pre-production in here. So you actually spend I spend a vast majority of my time in this space, as do a lot of the people who work here. So for everyone to have enough space and not be sitting on top of each other is really nice. I realised that this whole back wall is basically just like a huge bass strap, essentially. And I realised that was a foot deep, which is exactly the size of vinyl. So I thought, oh, well, I'll put my vinyl in that as well. So,
do you know, I've literally just realised that that's fabric, that part. I thought that was just some natty wallpaper.
Oh, right.
So that's brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, so it's really quite absorbent in here.
Really
and that's why in the rest of the room there's not much absorption going on.
One of the downsides of a big control room can be that everybody turns into a peanut gallery at the back. But again, that's being the person in charge and going, just keep it down. I'm trying to listen here. But
exactly. Yeah, but there's plenty. So 3 or 4 people can easily set out there quite comfortably, close the door, and then you can just get on with some editing or whatever you need to do.
It doesn't feel like a place where you're having to work. It's really nice. It doesn't feel like, damn, I've got to go in here and do some work. It's brilliant. And again, another nice thing we alluded to earlier, you've got, I'm going to, now behind Mike, you probably saw those, loads of guitars, you've got a Rhodes in here. I think it's important having instruments around, just to be able to pick out things, you know, working on backing vocals and stuff. You need to pick out harmonies.
Absolutely, yeah. And have as many things to hand as possible. I'm a guitar player, so I'll naturally pick up a guitar to work out those sorts of things. But likewise with the Rhodes. The only problem with the Rhodes is that it'd be lovely if it was, in fact, what I've been meaning to do for a long time is set up just a little mini speaker on it. So you can literally just turn it on and go, because someone walked in the other day and said, oh, this is lovely, can I hear it? And well, you know, so you're going to end up plugging it all in and you know.
Right, to the live room.
Into the live room.
Into the live room. And again, what a lovely, and what a difference in sound.
It's still got a lively edge as a live room. And you can sound, I mean, with a drum kit, you can get it sounding pretty roomy, which is nice. I mean, it's never going to have that big sort of epic drum sound. No,
I think that's important, is to recognise that control is better than just, you know, sticking a room mic up and smashing it to shit with an 1176 and going, aren't I brilliant? Sometimes it's about getting the detail and clarity within a kit. And
funnily enough, sorry.
No, carry on.
I had a session a little while ago, which guys doing drums for an album, and they came. They've been here for 3 or 4 sessions now, doing most of the drums for the album. And the reason they came here is because the first studio they used, it was in an old church, and it looked fantastic, and it ticked all the boxes. But they just said the sound was just untamed, and they just couldn't use it because it was just too uncontrolled. So. Swings and roundabouts, I suppose.
It's great, and it's a huge room. I mean, again, it's got to be similar in dimensions to the control room, sort of, isn't it? It's probably a bit deeper, but
it's a bit bigger.
But it's certainly it doesn't feel small at all. No. And you've got some gear in here as well. I mean, even these amps behind the door. It's brilliant. It sounds really, really controlled. You know, in a good way.
Great.
Yeah, it's nice.
So. I mean we've got a little booth here which doesn't get much use these days. The main thing that's for is obviously just you can shut amps in there when you're live tracking with drums and what have you. You can do a guide vocal in there or something when you're recording other instruments, or you do solo parts or whatever. Obviously, and apart from anything else, it doubles up as mic stand storage, basically. But yeah, it's a pretty flexible room. I mean, I've got some baffles which are all on wheels, so I can move them around, and so I'll build whatever space I need for that particular session. You know, normally I'll do vocals. I'll build a nice vocal booth over in the corner here, so people get a bit of natural light. Yeah. Also, they're close enough to me so they can, so they're not. I don't know. I always felt it a bit weird in the old studio I worked in, where you had the window right in front of the desk, and then you set up a singer right in front of there, and they'd be singing right at you, and you'd be looking at them all the time, and it felt a little bit like, you're impinging a little bit on what they were trying to do.
It should be down to them to choose contact, shouldn't it?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So sometimes, I mean, I've even done sessions where people sat at the back of the control room, with a microphone in hands and stuff like that, just to get ideas and things like that. And if that's what they're comfortable doing, then great. But normally I'll set up, for when we're doing vocals to keep. Yeah. I'll set up a nice booth in the corner, and then they can look across. We can have a conversation, but at the same time, they don't feel that I'm staring at them. Yeah. Which I think's, good to keep you comfortable.
It's a harmonium as well. I mean,
it is a harmonium.
Wow. So I'm a keyboard player. Well, I own keyboards. I don't play them though. It's great. I mean, again, it's all little toys, isn't it? And things to encourage people to be musos.
Exactly.
And a really nice selection of little amps and different boutiquey things as well. Go on, are you going to give us a tune?
I thought you were. You're the keyboard player.
It'll do. I can't do. Will the bellows work? Just one.
You should do, I think.
Nearly.
Needs me.
That's Lick My Love Pump.
What about the copyright issues?
I don't think Spinal Tap will be worried. That's lovely though, isn't it? Yeah, that needs sitting down at, especially with the vertigo.
I did. I haven't used that all that much, mainly because it's about 40% flat.
Oh, really?
Yes, because it was made before standardised tuning.
Oh, right.
So it becomes quite problematic to use.
Yeah.
But I have used it on a few sessions. One time a keyboard player was here doing an album, and he loved it, and he was sitting there playing on it, and I used to have it out in the kitchen. And halfway through I'm doing some editing, and he came in and he said, "I've got one more track to record." And I was like, "Oh, really?" He went, "Yeah, I've just written it in a harmonium." So I was like, "Okay, great, yeah, let's do it." So stuck a couple of mics out there and closed the door, whatever. And this song is probably 5 to 6 minutes long. And he did a couple of takes, and it was all good. And I went out there at the end, and I said, "That's great. Let's just do one more take." And he went, "I can't, I'm exhausted." Sitting there pumping those things constantly. And the minute you you ease off, then the sound just as you heard, then it just starts to dip. So, yes, you've got to be in good shape to use that.
Yes, exactly. No, it's brilliant. It's really cool. So have you done any major things to this room since you opened it, or has it pretty much stayed the same?
Not so much. It's pretty much stayed the same. I've done a little bit of extra sort of acoustics and stuff like that. But the main thing is it's flexibility, really. So, you can move all the baffles and all the rugs and everything around. You can build different spaces and all that sort of stuff. So if I'm doing a voiceover, I'll often build a booth in this corner or here, often right in front of there, depending on what people want to see. I
think that's really important. I think some people have very, very fixed conceptions of what a room needs to be. There's a studio we've been to where there's a drum riser, and the owner gets really pissed off if you don't want to put the drums on there, and it's like it's not really client facing, is it?
Exactly.
And I think it's a nice thing. Every time you come in, someone will bring in an instrument or a drum kit or whatever, and it's going to sound different. Atmospherics will change it. So listen to what it's like on the day.
Exactly. And also, if you've got a trio who are all playing together and all want to see each other and all that sort of stuff, then they need to be in certain places.
Absolutely.
Just to be able to communicate and play. So the sound in those things, the sound is important, but that's really important.
Well, it can really throw someone if they're used to standing stage right.
Exactly.
And suddenly they're the other side.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, I don't like the drummer there.
But I mean, the other great thing about having such a huge window as well is that I've done numerous sessions where you have because it's normally always the vocals which are the issue if you're doing a live session. You know, so many times where everything's great, but you can't use the vocals, or you know, or the vocals start spilling on other stuff, because you can booth everything off, but you can't really booth off the singer if they need to see everyone. So, but what I've done it a couple of times where you have the singer right there, and you know, if you're standing there, it's almost like you're in the room. You can hear him, you can see them perfectly, and that's worked really well, and you get really, really great vocal sound live with the band. You know,
I think that's a massive thing. I mean, that's my main thing, is recording as much off the floor as possible during a session. You know, the more you can do in the initial takes, the better. Because you start to build up a picture of what's required after that.
Very quickly. Yeah, exactly.
So that's brilliant. And I'm presuming that's loading, is it?
Yes. You can access that.
That's brilliant.
Double doors out. Yeah. So
it's ground floor studios, especially as you get older. Woodworm in Banbury has got the stairs that are definitely not to code, because they were put in the 70s.
Yes,
and I tell you what, it's and there's also a doorway at this height at the top, so it's a real assault course getting around.
I've been there. It's very steep and narrow, isn't it? Yeah.
But this is lovely. I love this all on one level. It's as I say, it's really like Parlour from that point of view over in Northampton.
Yeah, I know the place. I've never actually been there, but.
Much darker, that, because they do metal, but no, it's fantastic. It's really lovely, brilliant stuff. And I can't believe I didn't know it was here.
And the other thing about this room is that I've done a good few full out live recordings in this room, which is so it's big enough to do that. Yeah, you know, we're sort of six, 7, 8 people all playing together in the room. And it takes a while to set up, because obviously you've got to clear a lot of it out and make a lot of space and stuff like that. But the few that I've done have worked brilliantly.
Well, I think that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, even if I've got a band in for 3 or 4 days to do, you know, an EP or something, I'll still take a day to set up. Oh, we need to get recording. No, trust me, you won't be ready for it by the end of day 1. But by the time you get in on day 2, it'll sound fantastic and you'll be energised. And again, I think they need to understand that there's ways to approach recordings. And if you're a band, why wouldn't you want to play together?
Yes, exactly.
It's a big thing. That's brilliant. And a nice little mic and mic lead closet as well, just tucked away. It's great use of space. It's brilliant.
Well, I've made the most of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a beautiful facility. It really is. And I think the sun's even coming out outside, which is it's
less grey than it was.
Yeah, exactly.
Less grey than it was.
No, brilliant. Well, thank you ever so much. It's been lovely to meet you and see the place. Thanks.
Thanks for coming down. What I love about it is that's the bit that I love most. Sub bass.
Oh, brilliant.
So this was made like late 1800s, and they called it sub bass. I mean,
well,
you know, I thought that was something that only sort of emerged in the 80s. I don't know.
Does it stops out for on?
Yes, that stops out.
Oh, bloody hell!
Yeah, it's really. Although I'm not sure.
I don't think it works. Oh, that's coupling, right? Okay.
That's cool. The tremolo's cool, though.
Wow! Let's bring the flutes in. Oh, you need to get Wakeman over here. He'd love that.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
That's a good bit of outtake, that.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
There you go.
And a lovely little Leslie as well.
Playing around.